I've found a way to wipe out a huge chunk of America's debt. I know you're monitoring me, President Obama, so listen up. Did you know there's actually a website where you can watch America's national debt increasing in real time? At this very moment, it's $17,544,965,500,000 and 79 cents. Oh, no, I'm sorry. In the time it's taken me to say that, it's gone up by another $5 million. It's increasing by $2.3 billion a day. So every citizen in the land of the brave and the home of the free now owes $55,097. If you want to see debt creation on a biblical scale, I'll show you the domain later. The question is, what do we do about all this debt? Well, Uncle Graham may have the answer. If you're as old as me, you'll remember the oil crisis of 1973. Queuing at petrol stations, cursing the OPEC cartel, industry brought to a halt with 3-day weeks. America didn't like its dependence on Middle East oil being exploited like that. So the politicians hatched a plan. In 1974, they passed a law creating the Strategic Oil Reserve, with a mandate to create giant underground oil storage tanks in the salt caverns of Louisiana and Mississippi. For the last 40 years, these tanks have held a gargantuan 750 million barrels of oil. And the average price it was bought for? $28 a barrel. The price of crude oil today is $106. Even in the worst times of crisis in Iraq, the most that's ever been removed from the Strategic Oil Reserve is 28 million barrels. So there's easily 700 million that could be sold. It's enough to dramatically shift prices on world markets, so it couldn't all be done at once. But if my very green solar-powered calculator is correct, the government is sitting on a $78 profit for every barrel in those salt caverns. I make that $54.6 billion of profit sitting in the ground. Rather than seeing this one-off windfall become lost in government interest payments, the legendary 86-year-old oil billionaire T. Boone Pickens has a specific suggestion. America's now become the natural gas capital of the world, with the greatest supply and the lowest prices. So Pickens suggests that all heavy trucks and government vehicles should be converted from diesel to natural gas. It's 30% cleaner, much cheaper, and it would reduce oil imports from OPEC countries by 2/3. He would use the sale of the oil reserves to fund a subsidy for converting those vehicles to natural gas. It all sounds far too sensible for politicians to get their heads around, so don't hold your breath. Much more likely will be a repetition of Gordon Brown's sale of UK gold reserves when the yellow metal was at its lowest level in decades. So when the oil price tanks, watch for the ending of the Strategic Oil Reserve. Meanwhile, if you've got the stomach for it, watch the debts growing at usdebtclock.org. If your debts are rising as fast as America's, be very careful out there.
And you're working hard over the next 10, 20, 30 years, make sure you're working hard for the children rather than for HMRC.